Hello friends, in today's tutorial I'll be taking you through how to create text editor for beginners. Now let me take you straight to Visual Basic and let's put one of those together. Now let's launch. Now let's create a new project. Now we name our project to text editor. Now let's click on OK. Now let's define the size of our form. Now you can choose to resize it manually or you can go by the property tab. Now let's go by the property tab. Now let's go to size. Okay. Now we define the width of this form to 101,356. Then a height of 600. Now let's see. Now let's get rid of form 1 and enter. Let's go to text. Now let's enter text editor. Save. Now let's go for a text box. Double click. Now let's select this tab and click on multiple line. Now let's resize. Save. Now let's run it. Okay. Now let's go for a menu straight. Double click. Now we have our menu straight ready. Now let's also look for font dialog. Let's double click. Then we also need color dialog. Now let's save. Now let's come to the tool strip. Let's enter file. Now let's enter save. Then exit. Now let's come here. Let's enter tools. We come here. Then we enter font. Then we enter color. And let's come here. Now let's enter edit. Although we are not going to need the edit, and help. Let's save. Now let's change the font. Change the font to Times New Roman regular. Then okay, let's save. Now let's select our text box and change the font. Times New Roman regular 16. Now let's save. Now let's change this icon here. Now let's select our form. Now we move on to icon. Then you click on this tab. Then you browse for your picture. Okay, now let's use this, or let's choose that. Yeah, we have it right there. Now let's go to tools and let's double click on font. Now let's enter if font dialog 1. I mean this dialog that we just imported, this dialog 1. I will make sure it's right there. Let me clear this. Dialog 1 dot show dialog equals dialog result dot okay. Then our text box, I mean this very text box I'm talking about. Now text box 1 dot font equals font dialog 1 dot font. Now let's save. Now let's run this. Let me close this. Now let's enter hey YouTube. Now let's go to tools, then font. Now let's browse for Times New Roman. Now let's change the size to 18. Yeah, everything is working fine. Now let's look at the color dialog. No, it's not working. Now let's take care of that. Let's get back to our form. Now let's click on the tool, but you have to make sure you have color dialog 1. Now let's go to the color dialog, double click, then now let's enter if color dialog 1 dot show dialog equals dialog result dot okay. Then text box 1 dot text box 1 dot for color equals color dialog 1 dot color. Now let's save. Now let's run this. Now let's enter again Maxwell. Now let's go to tools. Now let's change the color. Now let's select red. Now let's go to font. Now we choose thing. Okay, now let's change it again. Now let's select, yeah. Now let's close this. Now let's get back to our form. Now let's take care of, let me add new also here before the exit. New, then let's go to exit. Now let's take care of the new, and let's enter the box 1 dot clear. Now save. Now let's get back to our form again. Now let's double click on exit. Now let's enter me dot close. Now let's see. Now let's take care of the save button. Now let's declare the following: dim my save as new save file dialog. Now let's click on this. Now let's move to the next line. Let's undo. Now let's enter my save dot filter equals, let's open this quotation mark, txt file. Now open this bracket. Now asterisk dot txt. Okay, and let's bring this, then dot txt. Now let's move to the next line. My save dot filter index equal 1. Now my save dot restore directory equals false. Now if my save dot show dialog equals dialog result dot OK, then and input output dot file dot write all text. Do I have it there? Yeah, write all text my save dot file. Let me bring the file name. Okay, comma from text box 1 dot text. Now let's change the color before we try the save. Let's change the color of our form and choose this. Now let's save. Now let's select our text box and go to property and search for scroll bars. Then let's choose both horizontal and vertical. Now let's save. Now let's run this. We have that bar. Yeah. Now let me paste. Okay. Now let's try to save. File, then save. Now let's give a new name as my doc. Now we are saving it to the desktop. Now save. Now let's go and check if it was saved. Now here is the file. Now we have our file here. Now you can right click and choose any text editor to open it, or you can just double click for it to open. Now it just opened with Microsoft Word. Now this is what we save in our text editor. Now let's close this. Now let's get back to our form. Now let's give it another try. Now let me repaste. Now supposing we click on new, it should clear the text box. Now let's repaste. Now let's change the font. Let's change this 14. Okay. Now let's change the color. Then let's choose this color. Okay, now everything is working fine. Now let's exit. And that's all for today's tutorial. Thank you for watching.